Well, today I would like to have some basic introductions into basic listening because in this course, during this term, we will try to develop your basic English listening skill. Okay, so let's come to the next slide. What is listening actually, guys? Listening is more than just hearing. Okay, when you hear something, it's simply you catch the sound, but you don't catch the meaning, like the sounds of a bomb or the sounds of someone talking. You don't really pay attention to them. You just hear the sounds. But while listening is actually, it means understanding the spoken language. So you can catch the idea of the speakers, you understand what they are talking about, and you can repeat what they say, the idea they say, even though not exactly in the same sentence structure. Okay. And you know what? Listening is actually the first language skill that we learn as babies. That's why in Muslim communities, we usually do the adhan right after the baby is born. Because simply their listening skills has been working even after they are born. That's why sometimes even though they are still in the mother's womb, there are some babies are supposed to be listen to some reading, some conversation, something like that. Okay. Well, let's go on. After we understand what listening is, we come to why is listening important? Okay. It's simply because we listen more than we speak, read, or write. Every day we are encountered with several activities that include listening activities like having conversations, also gaining some informations. Most of them are done by listenings. And also, a good listeners or good listening skills help us to be better communicators. And also, when we have already acquired the ability of listen very well, we can learn faster because we get the idea of the speakers. And also, apart from that, it is this English language listening skill. The most important objective of being able to listen well is to understand native speakers. Okay, and because they are talking new language that we are not familiar with, it is really important for us to start exercising English listening skill. Okay, and also apart from that, it's a key to fluency. Especially the fluency of speaking. Okay, because without listening, you will not be able to understand their pronunciation or copy their pronunciation, copy their intonations, and so forth. And the more you listen and the more you practice your speaking, it is likely that you will have a natural conversation like native English, like the pronunciation and intonation. Okay, so it starts all from listening skill. And next, so here is what the difference between listening and hearing. Hearing is passive activities that does not require you to do anything, simply happen to hear something, and you are not in your focus mode. Okay, you don't care what the sounds is about, but simply you are aware that you hear something. Okay, and it happens naturally without your intention because yeah, it's simply you hear a sound. But in listening, you are actively involved in that activity. You try to catch the ideas, which requires your full attentions. You try to remember the details. You try to remember the spot, the plot of the stories, and so forth. And also it needs practice. And even though you understand what it means by listening, to understand basically what it means by the main idea of the listening, it requires frequent practice, everyone. Okay, so you cannot really understand all the details of what you listen, the idea of what you listen, unless you have frequent practice. Okay. Yeah. Next, types of listening. We have several types of listening, such as casual listening, like music, chat with friends, and so forth. And then academic listening, such as class lectures. And then purposeful listening, like phone calls, and also, what is it? And also directions, and also media listening, like videos and podcasts. Okay. Yeah. And next, listening challenges for listeners. Sometimes start to listen to native speakers is not easy, especially when we talk about foreign language that we do not encounter in everyday basis. Okay, because usually native speakers of that language speak English really fast, okay? And we are not really accustomed to listening to speaking English fast, and then we are also exposed to new vocabulary that is not known to us in daily basis. And also we are also challenged with their accents. British accents, American accent, Australian accents, all of them have different characterizations, okay? And sometimes when we are talking about the official test of listening skill, even whether it is in IELTS or TOEFL, usually they are attributed to background noises. It is not actually to distract you, but to make the environment as natural as possible. Okay. And also, if we deal with long listening, it is likely that we also suffer from tired brain. We lose focus, we lost our concentration there, we lost our attention there. Okay, that's why exercising a lot is really helpful to help you, what is that, durable in terms of retaining your focus, your concentration, and etc. Okay, and next, good listening habits really helps you to develop your skill of listening. You cannot mostly rely on the class activities because in the class we only have 3 credits, which almost about 150 minutes. And I think it is not really enough for you to develop your skill of listening if you rely only on the classes. Okay. So when you try to develop habits of listening, the first thing you have to do is to focus on that topic. Just focus listening. No multiple tasking. You don't have to write anything. You don't have to read anything. Just focus listening. Okay. Use body language, eye contact, like use body language to deliver to understand the meaning, like eye contact or nodding. Okay. And then also predict what you'll hear. Usually in the listening test, you will be given a question sheet that contains the question. So before you listen to the recording, it is better for you to predict what kind of answer that you will need next. Okay. And then take a short notes. It's also important because your brain will not be able to remember all the details. So it is better for you to prepare a piece of paper where you can take notes of the details. Okay. And then don't panic if you miss a word. It's okay for you to miss a word as long as it is not the significant word or the most crucial word. And especially when the question asking you about the idea of the passage of the listening text, okay? Just focus following the plot of the story and then try to guess the main idea. And also sometimes even though you miss a word, there will be another word replacing that explain the word that you missed, okay? So once when you happen to miss a word, don't panic, okay? Because there will be another thing that will help you, okay? Good. And then listening in the class. In this course, you will listen to conversation and short tasks, learn common expressions, practice with videos and audios, improve note taking, and build confidence. These are several focuses that we will try to employ in the class during the term. Okay. And listening skill is not a gift. Remember everyone, as I told you before, like playing music or riding bike, the ability to listen to native speakers, especially English foreign language, English native speakers, requires regular practice. You cannot expect to be able to understand what they say if you just started listening today and then tomorrow you expect to understand everything they say. No, it's almost impossible. Okay. You have to develop your skill, your understanding about pronunciation, accent, and also intonation gradually. Okay. Do not expect everything to happen at once. I know it is tiring, but at last you will get what you deserve to get. Okay. The more you listen, the better you get. Yeah. So in this course, we will focus our discussions on listening for the main idea, listening for specific information, because these two things requires different approach, okay? And then understanding different accents to make sure that you can be adapting well when you are faced with different accents like American, British, also Australian, and also using context clues. And sometimes when we don't really understand what is it to help us really answer the question accurately, we can use the context to guess what kind of answer that we need, or maybe to guess what a certain word means. I think that's all for today, and I will see you in the class. Thank you and bye bye.